welcome to the Conjure Corner here on YouTube. My name is Mambo LaBelle Venus, and I will be your reader for today, okay? I know it's been a minute. I'm really excited to be back, and hopefully we'll have time to do more of these readings. But I want to let you all know we're doing a reading today over Wendy Williams. I don't know about you all, but I've been seeing a lot about her story and a lot about her condition in the media. I did watch her docuseries, so if you guys watched it, definitely let me know in the comments. However, I do want to do a reading over it because I do feel like there was a lot of unanswered questions, and if you watched it yourself, I think that some of you may agree. There are a lot of unanswered questions, and I think that there's some things that, you know, the audience or maybe even some of her supporters may just want answers to, okay? So I feel like I must say this before we do her reading because of the really sensitive nature and the really sensitive nature of like her condition. I will say that everything in this reading is simply for entertainment purposes, and all of this information is alleged, okay? So these questions here were actually pulled from the docuseries that I watched. So if you guys are watching, I would really like to know what you all think in the comments, okay? So before I get started, of course, I would like to invite you all to botanicavenus.com. I am having a spring sale starting tomorrow. So for those of you who are in need of any spiritual products, the magical makeup, cosmetics, sacred adornment, all of that is going to be on sale starting tomorrow. So make sure you guys head over to botanicavenus.com, okay? So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into the real reason why you're watching, okay? So let's take a moment here to read over. Now, like I said, a lot of this is alleged, right? This is all alleged. But, you know, for those of you who actually watched her docuseries, you know, there were a lot of mixed emotions about why it was actually filmed. So I think a really important question for us to ask in this reading is, you know, what were the intentions behind the documentary, okay? So let's just start there. Ancestors. So our spirits here. What were the intentions behind the docuseries? So I'm already kind of I'm kind of already getting some channeled messages here as I lay out the cards, okay? There are many reasons why the docuseries was put out, okay? A part of this here was to, in hopes, share with the public, honestly, like to honestly share where she's been at. They really wanted to kind of display also her need to work with the Two of Pentacles, and also there are people here with the Two of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles being present. There are people here that not only wanted this to come out, but to kind of show that they've been helpful and that they've been supportive to her on her journey. So to be honest, there were some people who actually thought that this was a good idea for her. There were people on her team that thought it would be really important to not hide, okay? To not hide anymore and to really show other people what's been going on behind closed doors, okay? There is something here that's showing up, legal terms. There's like a male involved, someone on her team. He plays a role in her situation in terms of this being like a man that's deeply connected to her in a legal sense. So he had a huge say so. This person did give their input and had a huge role in saying, yes, this is a good idea. This is something that can be put out. But part of it is also because, I feel like, and we're gonna read more on in this, okay? But there's something coming through about there being an interest in Wendy. Like Wendy had a say so in a sense, like she has a desire to work. She has a desire to say things and kind of be at the forefront. But there are also people involved that wanted to expand off of this. This was an attempt to expand something, to create new opportunities. And it was also done to generate conversation. Ace of Swords being present here also talks about, there being a lot of conversation and a lot of mental energy around the situation, and that being something, that they thought that could expand. I'm getting more, especially based off of this spread, that could expand more so for the team or the people who were behind this more so than it was for Wendy. I do see here that she did have a genuine, I would say, concern or want to maybe come out of hiding, but this is everybody else around her for sure. This is more energy of like the team, the people surrounding the situation, people, thinking more so from like a business aspect. Somebody thought logically that it would be good to kind of come from behind the scenes and, show that they're ruling maybe with like an iron fist, or like I have X, Y, and Z organized. So there was just like a specific set of intentions, when it comes to this, coming out to the public. But also with the Five of Cups here being present, it's also like there's this energy of like, well, shit, like this is the reality of the situation. Ain't no use in crying over like spilled milk. Let's get out here. Let's expand. Let's expose the story. Let's cut through and control the narrative and tell our story. Okay. So the intentions behind it were to really get things out there and to get momentum, and to also just really bring attention to her story, because also with the Six of Pentacles being present, in reverse in this way, some people on her team, especially, we've got the King of Swords here present now, so follow me. There are also maybe people who are surrounding her who are feeling like they're not adequately being compensated for the amount of work that they're doing. So not only was this an effort to create opportunities for, money, just talk, discussion, putting things out there in the forefront and for expansion, but there's also here, people feeling with the reverse Hermit over reverse Five of Cups, Two of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles. There's people here feeling overworked and undervalued and underappreciated. So a part of this was to put this out. A part of those intentions were to also make, or maybe possibly sway the public to say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm working so hard, but this is what I'm getting, this is what I'm not getting. And to also play the sympathy card, or to get people to be like, oh, maybe things aren't the way that they, so there's a lot of selfishness in terms of like why the documentary was put out. It's more about the intentions of these other people than more so her energy that's actually showing up here. So there was an attempt to paint the narrative like they're like, shit, like let's put it out, people already know, but it was to also, shed light and to also bring sympathy to not really just her, but to those around her. Okay. And to possibly, show, hey, we're doing this, and this. it's almost like, I hate to say it this way, but it's almost like it wasn't personal for them. It's like where we are in the reading so far in terms of the intentions, it was not personal to Wendy as to why they decided to put it out, but more so to benefit the people who are, you know, in control. Okay, to benefit the people who are in control in her circle. So they were thinking, you know, we're underpaid. We're maybe not getting as much. You know, they're feeling unappreciated. So there's the energy, you know, with the Hermit and the Five of Cups of exposing, you know, maybe even, you know, the Five of Cups can also indicate here in Wendy, what I'm getting is just, you know, maybe like drinking, or, you know, like the depression and some of her own emotional issues that she is going through. So that was specifically a part of this that they really wanted to put into the public. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next question. Okay, so our next question is, if her publicist, and I'm not sure if this is still her publicist at the time, but in the documentary, she had a publicist, right? And so one of the questions that I see a lot of people debating about online is if her publicist actually had her best intentions at heart. Okay, there was a lot of back and forth among the fans about if her publicist from the documentary had her best interest at heart. So let's go ahead and read over that. And this person on this particular video shall remain nameless. Okay, so we're going to see if her publicist had her best interest at heart. Okay, and I'm going to pull from two different decks. Actually, let me start with this one here. I apologize. So let's see if her publicist had her best interest at heart. Did Wendy Williams' publicist from her documentary have her best interest at heart? Oh, wow, we have literal cards popping out, but that's all right. Let's see. Wendy Williams' publicist have her best interest at heart. Okay, the energy on the is just really jumpy here, so let's go ahead and start. Okay, bear with me here. As I told you, I'm reading with two different decks, so let's see her best interest at heart. Allegedly. Alrighty. Y'all, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When we take a look at this reading, this person may have been one of the people who have felt, you know, victimized or underappreciated and undervalued while being in the camp. Now, when we look at our top row here, we've got the Knight of Cups, the Five of Cups, Three of Pentacles, and then below we have the reverse Two of Cups, the reverse Hermit, and the King of Swords. Now, one thing I really like about the Deviant Tarot is that it tells a very unique and a very special story. Okay, so it definitely gives more insight into exactly what the situation was. But with the with the Knight of Cups being present here, we can really get an insight into just how this person came about with the promise of good intentions. I actually really don't like what I'm seeing here with these two cards being next to each other, because it looks like he plays a role in a certain level of emotional manipulation to her. This is a person, and I'm sorry, I'm just saying her. I can't remember if the publicist was a male or a female, but let's just say for this reading, her publicist from the documentary, they do play a very unique and a very specific role in terms of maybe emotionally manipulating her. They come with the promise of love and good intentions. Okay, they're someone who shows up as someone very charming, very loving, very sweet. Maybe also someone who is charismatic as well, but behind closed doors, especially with these two being cups, you guys, this is something, these are skills that they use to deceive, okay, that they use to really get inside her head. If you even look at the imagery here, because historically the Five of Cups, you know, it's not understanding that you have cups that are still filled, right? And you can sometimes have a pity party, but this person is playing into the pity party, but also feeding her alcohol, giving her things like alcohol that are actively pouring into these negative emotions and pouring into her demons, if that makes sense, her personal trauma and her woes. Like this person, this publicist allegedly is someone who is also very good at that, okay? Just a lot of emotional manipulation here. When you take a look at the Three of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles is usually community and working together. But if you, I don't know how much you all can see here, but they are working together, but in a very not so great way. In this imagery, you can see someone literally being stabbed in the head, all right, or poked. So what the story that this is telling so far is that there's a lot of manipulation going on, and there's like people working together. So I know that we asked specifically about the publicist, you all, but something else that's coming through is that this is a community effort. This is just not one specific person. But this person is also utilizing other resources to kind of help in her delusions and in her misery. It's almost like misery loves company. It's very important to also understand, once again, we have some of the same cards coming up, right? So I'm really tapping into the energy of the situation. Once again, this being something that this publicist and also other people around her are trying to manipulate this in a way that's beneficial for their work and their career. And it is also, I think is very interesting right here, Hermit, Five of Cups energy, once again, in relation to said publicist. This is talking about them, once again, trying to bring forth a narrative, but also hiding certain aspects of what's actually, or what manipulations are being done behind closed doors here. So when we take a look at this reading a little bit further, this is also someone, like the publicist's energy is also someone who has a lot of say in dealings that are done. Like they have a lot of say in business dealings and things like that are done for her. And what's happening is sometimes they may just make the final decision, you know, say, hey, I think this is a good idea. This is the direction that we should go. But what we're also seeing here in this particular spread is that there's also manipulating being done behind doors, definitely to Wendy herself. It's like they're preying on her weaknesses. Right here, it's like she already has a specific tendency, like, for self-destructive behavior, okay? So what we're seeing is that she does have a really high tendency of self-abuse, or her self-talk may not be the greatest, and she wants to act out on that. But this publicist also understands that. Because one thing that you can also expect with the Knight of Cups, you guys, is that this, at times, right? At times, okay? Because there are a lot of positive attributes to the Knight of Cups. But what we're seeing here in this very specific situation is that this is someone who understands that. They are emotionally intelligent enough to know exactly what's going on, and the way that they're feeding into her own issues is not necessarily beneficial to her. So when we ask the question, did the publicist have her best interest at heart? This is absolutely a no, right? It's like they're feeding into it, okay? And it's like they're supporting her. It's almost like she has a strong will here to be a specific way, but when we look at what's going on here in the reading, it's like they're feeding into also even those shadow aspects of her. Okay, so it's a lot. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing going around her at this time, and allegedly the publicist also plays a role in it. Okay, so I think that was a really good question. Let's go ahead and do another one. So moving on to our next question. There's also, as there's concerns about her team, a lot of the people want to know in the public, about her family or those relationships as well, okay? From what I can personally see, her family has definitely denied them being a part and taking advantage of her. They say that they only want the best for Wendy, and allegedly, there's allegations that she did well in their care, or she was better off when she was around family, okay? So there's a lot of concern around that as well. So let's see what we can get on, was there anyone, or let's say, has there been anyone in her family that has taken advantage of her, okay? Is there anyone in Wendy Williams' family that has taken advantage of her? So let's see here. Has there been anyone in Wendy Williams' family that has taken advantage of her? Okay, let's lay down our first set of cards here. Okay, let's start with our second deck here. And her family that has taken advantage of her. Okay, I'm going to shuffle a little bit more here. Is there anyone in her family, Spirit, that has taken advantage of her? So what I can already, wow. So hear me out, you all. Hear me out, okay? Something that is very apparent from my reading is that there has been, there's some cloaking. There's some cloaking that has been done, like actual spiritual work. There's been some type of cloaking that has been done in attempt to conceal what's been going on in the family, or to conceal the secrets. Okay, there's been some concealing done, some type of work, spiritual work to kind of conceal everything. Okay, so what we can see here is that there are a lot of secrets surrounding this situation. There have been people in the family that have not had her best interest at heart. And with the reverse lovers card here being the Ace of Pentacles, being next to the Ace of Pentacles, a lot of the decisions that were made may not have been in alignment with what they felt was the best move for her. There are people in her family that almost feel like there is no right way to handle things. There within the family, outside of what they're saying to the public, there are people within the family that feel like, in reference to Wendy Williams, there are some things that have been done that are immoral, okay? That are immoral and that are not in alignment with values, okay? One thing that you can also, and you see that with the energy of the Hierophant here, right? But there are things that have been done with malicious intent to gain access to money or to opportunity. So in terms of have people in her family taken advantage of her, what we can really see here is that there are people that have made very sneaky and very deceitful moves in this entire situation. Also, allegedly, on the family side, right? It's like they're moving things around, almost like this is a game of chess. One thing we can also gather with the reverse King of Swords being present in this reading, there's been a lot of conversation around the money, especially legally. There has been a lot of shady things that have happened on the family's part and in regards to like her money, okay? There's a lot of secrets that the family are, as a collective, there's multiple people involved here, you guys, okay? With the reverse, there's people that have had, one thing that you can also see here in the reading, you guys, but there are a lot of people around her that have had loving or intimate relationships with her that have done things to not necessarily like stab her in the back specifically, but it's like they're playing the game. Something that keeps coming across, I feel like energetically in her reading, it's almost like it's not personal to Wendy, but it's more about the money. It's a larger, there's a bigger picture here. There's other pieces at play that the general public is just not getting to see. And you guys, there has absolutely been spiritual work done on this situation, on trying to conceal the details of these relationships, or try to conceal exactly who it is. There's a lot of information that's coming across, and as you can see, my candle flame going crazy. But there's a lot of information here that people are really fighting for behind the scenes, or even verbally threatening people, or going about this in really conspicuous like legal ways to try to make sure that at least the events that have happened, or if people in her family have taken advantage of her financially, they're working just very hard to make sure that never sees the light of day, okay? But it also looks like, there's been some, question of ethics. Like if you want to look at this also, from the legal standpoint, or the legalities of things, you will also see that there have been unethical decisions made surrounding her and her finances, okay? And some of them, because of these unethical things, have really, because of some of these unethical practices, it has really torn a lot of relationships. There's some people who aren't even proud of it, but so there's like a certain level there's like, you know, and I'm getting a lot of channeled messages right now, but there's fear here. There's a lot of fear here. There's shame surrounding this situation. This is a much bigger ball game, and there's some of them who have also given or paid off people, not necessarily only, like I mentioned, spiritually, but physically. Like people have paid people to kind of conceal some of these records and or documents. So that is what I got so far. I hope that you guys are enjoying what happened to Wendy Williams part 1. And so this is where we're going to go ahead and pause part 1 of this reading. If you are enjoying yourself, make sure to let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, make sure that you share this video. If you would like to book a private session with me, make sure that you head over to www.botanicavenus.com to book your own private reading. I also have consultations available there, as well as the online spiritual store, okay? So like, share. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all for part 2.